Okay, getting the first pick. Oh, get three, Pyro, get three with the
Blade Kid's putting on a clinic. Whole team's down. Oh!
Experience tranquility.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family beyond the binary, good evening and welcome once again to Overwatch Tranquility. Tonight we have the Transcendence tier. We're going to be looking at Shockwave going up against Ragnarok Odin. I am joined on the microphone tonight by my good friend Mintus Major. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Fantastic. Happy to be back in the booth with my homeboy, Juggle God.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've gotten a good cast together. And
It
I
has.
believe this is actually my first time casting for Tranquility. So this is a great welcoming match to ring in the ceremony, so to speak. Obviously, I don't really deserve that much fanfare for my first time here. Nonetheless, both of these teams I think deserve some, particularly Ragnarok Odin. They are
Yes.
2-0 in the Indigo Pool A so far, yet to drop a map. They have a +8 map differential through both of the games that they've played, and Shockwave coming into this at 1-1, they are going up against what seems to be so far the Goliath of the group, and they are naturally the David.
Yes, absolutely. Although they're not completely the David in this group, they have the 1-1 record. They are sitting at third place right now in the group, and they're looking to improve their record tonight, go up to 2-1, equal perhaps what Ragnarok Odin has.
Yeah, and this is going to be a good match for both of these teams to kind of establish themselves and get a good baseline going into the rest of the group. Naturally, we're still really early on in
Yeah.
this group stage here. There's only been 2 games played so far, so initial impressions can only go so far up until we see how each team plays each other in the full round robin. Nonetheless, both teams are rearing and ready to go on the first map of Oasis.
That they are. This is going to be a great map to start things out on. Looks like as well we are going to be going to Gardens, I believe. So, looking to see, some high ground play here. Maybe probably a little bit of brawl on both sides. It seems to be very common on this map.
Yeah, honestly, this map in particular, it kind of lends itself well to basically every playstyle. I think Dive is extremely playable here. Something like a double shield if you want to bunker up in those back alleys that overlook the point and try to take those high grounds. Even 6-man Dive is playable. Really, just the whole spectrum of 6-man compositions can be played on a map like Oasis Gardens. Nonetheless, looks like both teams are taking 2 very distinct styles. We've got the Pharah on one side and the Brawl, like you mentioned, on the other.
Yeah, that we do. This is going to be interesting. Looking at this dive coming in for
5,
Ragnarok
4,
Odin.
3,
I like the Pharah with it as
1.
well, though. That's going to add a lot
Capture
of
the objective.
problems for Shockwave. Fight starting out. Let's see here. Ragnarok already positioning inside that little area over to the right. Castle from Shockwave. They're getting some damage now too. Ragnarok Ragnarok Odin trying to just build up that barrage as quick as they can. They're already halfway there too, which is incredible. Wrath has unlocked now with a quick hit on their team, and they go down without those heals. That's going to be really, really hard for Ragnarok Odin to make anything happen. But they do get the hit on the hit, so one down for each side. This is incredible. Ragnarok already with the point capture.
Oh, and late kills coming in there for Shockwave. They will eventually be able to win by outlasting the Brawl competition here. Able to go the distance even from losing Hypnos early on in that fight. You know, you typically consider the dive comp a team comp that can play on its own very well, so even if you lose something like a core member, one of the 6 components in this composition, everything seems to be winnable as long as you can just stay in these fights, and that's exactly what happens there. And speaking of staying in these fights, it's going to be really difficult for Blue Team here to stay alive through this barrage of people. We got to watch that closely.
Kestrel doing some phenomenal work with it. That pharmacy doing really keeping Ragnarok out in the base.
I mean, there's just not a lot you can do there. AMFM is wondering, where is this Pharah playing? Just comes right through in that back alley. And there's so many angles if you try to play in those really tight corridors as the Brawl composition, you just can't worry about every single one of them.
No, you certainly can, and unfortunately for them, Kestrel was one of those problems. Now they're trying to push in. Trying to get a little more damage to it. Garrett doesn't find anybody, but clears people away. They're actually going to get the current kills off of that now that they're all scattered.
I love how Shockwave is playing this. They wait to get that initial point control, relinquish a couple of the first fights, and then eventually once they have control, they just taken it to Ragnarok repeatedly over and over. And I think that's the difficulty for the Brawl composition. You can walk up, you can have a pretty easy time with it if you can get that first capture, but the moment you have to retake, it is nearly impossible.
Yeah, it really is. Going up against the able to get that barrage online. 2 hits immediately. Let's see if Shockwave can turn this around though. Anonymous right now. Firmly rooted on that high ground. Yeti as well on the echo. Able to find out that now. And this point is definitely for Ragnarok for the taking of this one.
Yeah, Ragnarok goes for this pivot on the tank line and the DPS, particularly with his reset and the echo. When you keep coming out from Slimy Rose to secure 99% with only 2 members remaining. Questionable, but nonetheless,
yeah,
you got the flip. It's fine. Right now, you can sort of exert that control over time, particularly with the space controlling ultimates of the High Noon coming in from the Cowboy, as well as the Amp Matrix from Baptiste, and even the Diva Bomb as well. These are a lot of different tools for Ragnarok Odin to make the barrage, particularly from Kestrel, that much more difficult.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And D-Wang also, of course, has that immortality field, which is going to be just critical, I think, keeping his team alive. But yes, Slimy Rose probably wishes they had that beat now, especially with Kestrel coming in with a threat.
Justice reigns from above.
Didn't able to get anybody, but it definitely is the high ground coming now. Kestrel has their sights firmly set on the Genji, but AMFM actually able to swing. Coming back in with another big oh, Anonymous slept out of there. Deadeye, the Cowboy not going to get what they needed there to keep things going. But Ragnarok still has control of this point.
Late sleep comes in onto OC as well. It does feel like Ragnarok are kind of scraping to come back in this fight. But once they get this copy online from the Genji, the recontest can come through. Anonymous getting another kill too.
The Mercy as well. This is going to be Ragnarok Odin as Shockwave is able to clear off this point in excellent fashion.
It was so close there for Ragnarok, and again, it's still not technically over as the recontest come through, but it's going to be so staggered, and your copy will be so late coming in from the Genji that you would have to put up some miraculous kind of
adaptive circuits engaged.
So again, winnable if they can stall it out and get some picks, but it's still not looking too good for Ragnarok.
No, it's certainly looking really working right now. It goes down. Once again, Ragnarok. No way. No, this is the point at all, and now carry. That is so hard right now. But look at this Nick so fine to pick on the knee lane. No, it's not on the other side. This fight just doesn't want to stop. The knee layered in from Slide Heroes is right. But the debuff off from Garrett is gonna seal the deal for Shockwave. What a fight.
What a first point. This is the first sub-map of Oasis, and it clearly we're in for a treat here. Two very evenly stacked teams on both sides, but there it was Ragnarok that kind of falters in the end because, again, off of that first fight, when the dive composition gets control and those retakes just become that much more difficult, you're going to lose a lot of percentage. And yes, OC makes that great pivot towards Orisa, which helps with the retake, allows you to use that halt particularly to punish Keestrel's aggressiveness on that Pharah, but it's just not enough to go the distance, and eventually you would have to play basically perfect throughout the duration of that map, and Ragnarok's not up to the task, so first sub-map goes the other way. But now it looks like they're playing back into the wheelhouse as we go towards this sub-map where Rel seems a little bit more favored.
Yeah, that it goes. But again, Ragnarok Odin coming out with the Orisa. That is a choice here, especially considering how close this game is. I really think Karma and the rest of Shockwave are going to have a much easier time over this. They already have control over this point. Anonymous trying to get into some damage. Taking the hammer from the Cowboy right there, but just not able to get any value. Did get caught out? Are they going to be able to survive? They are barely able to get those heals. And now they're quickly flipped over for Shockwave. And they're the mid as well. They use the amplifier to make this performance drive turn their favor now. OC going to be able to get that function driver on line.
The May from Keegan was a difference maker there, but again, it's still not over. Both of these teams just refuse to give up. Ragnarok in particular, they're fighting like the Reach and Valhalla here, and eventually they will be able to retake this objective. The DPS, NG27 and Anonymous just coming up huge. I am taking the objective. And that is really where the strength of Ragnarok's composition lies. It's in the burst. You can, control the objective, you can control the space, but those DPS, if they start clicking heads, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, you certainly are. And Shockwave definitely ran into that problem right there. But they have almost tried to make this X-Foot Dragons committed early. Move Shockwave around to the right side of point, but now Karma has a 3 down the point. All the way for Shockwave.
That's ult diff. Nothing you can really do on the side of Ragnarok Odin there, because you had to swap a couple of tanks on that retake, particularly OC. He started on the Orisa, the retake ends up working for them, but he pivots back to Reinhardt, recognizing that, yeah, these two teams, it's brawl time, right? They want to get up close, but that leaves you behind in the ult charge, and that's exactly where Karma builds that advantage.
Yeah, that it is. And already they're using that ult charge to their advantage, but again, he's looking in for a pick from the high ground. Deadeye pops up, Nyx doesn't find anybody, yet he's still trying to find some kind of but has been able to find just what they like. He was on the engagement, he's getting trying to keep it alive. Anonymous trying to goes down incredibly low. The and with that one here, Karma goes down very quickly. Here comes the self-destruct from AMF, and then he catches Nyx out. So, Ragnarok, go hard with a flying take all the point back from Shockwave.
Yeah, Shockwave had the ult advantage to begin with, but it just felt like it wasn't enough to actually win out the fight. Everybody on Ragnarok just kind of kites away from that initial aggression, particularly from that window high-noon combo, and once that doesn't find any value, you're only really buying time. However, time is exactly what they're used here. To get picks like this onto Anonymous, the 5v6 can allow them to retake and really abuse the fact that they have 93% already.
Yeah, that they can. They finally layer into
You gotta go back to that point. There you go. 95% and counting. Late stagger onto Anonymous as well. And it looks like anybody that can contest is just completely absent. And Shockwave are going to pick up this first map of Oasis. And yeah, even though Ragnarok has won 2 in a row, without dropping a map, there goes the first one for him.
Yeah, the dominoes start to fall, and I'm sure they're gonna hope that they stop relatively soon. But for Shockwave, this is looking really, really good. For
Justice
That
reigns
is,
from above.
this group looking very tough to be a part of. Because I mean, if Shockwave comes in, even with a map win here against this previously dominant Ragnarok Odin, I mean that just indicates that this group is very tough because they've already lost a match. So there's somebody else out there who's swinging a big hammer.
Yeah, everybody is vying for the first place in Indigo Pool A here, and it seems to be very competitive so far. Nonetheless, obviously, this is just the first map of the series. Ragnarok, they've proven that they can battle back, or at the very least put up good numbers over the course of an entire 4-map set. So I'm not surprised to see that, yes, you might drop a couple here and there. It's really just about how you finish, and Ragnarok has to be perfect through the finish to have a good chance here. And particularly, they need to pivot away from putting Kestrel on Pharah. It was just, the first map was pretty much a wash, almost single-handedly off of that DPS performance, and it only really looked good for Ragnarok when they started to play that Orisa D.Va hybrid, so maybe they start to go towards something that pivots well towards that, like Hanamura here. I think Orisa D.Va is extremely playable here, even on the attacking side if you want to go for some TP plays or get a little cheesy with it like that, but nonetheless, I think this is a much better choice for Ragnarok, and this should suit them going into the rest of the series.
Yeah, I imagine we're gonna see them coming out a lot stronger on this map. You know, their Orisa D.Va comp did look decent, but I just think it was the wrong map choice for them, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
So I think you're right. They're probably gonna find a lot more success here on Hanamura.
If they even try to go for that. I think a lot
true.
of teams at this level are most likely going to expect, at least on the attacking side, brawl with a Symmetra. You get that teleporter down, go straight to the objective. You're going to have a really easy time holding that first point. And although it is a bit of a tougher ask on second to play that sim comp, buying so much time on first allows you to basically play whatever you feel comfortable with and just try to counter what the enemy team throws at you on the defending side. And speaking of which, Ragnarok has tried to play dive here to start things out, so they're going to be trying to hit some of those rotations, maybe shut out the teleporter before it gets any value, before they reach the objective, and then look to pressure them in these brief moments of weakness, because once Shockwave reaches that objective, it's going to be really difficult to reach.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be. Once the Brawl team, like you said, has has themselves set up, it is just so hard to push them off. And they're gonna be able to push through this with Shockwave on the receiving end.
Systems on fire.
From Ragnarok on this defense.
Operating at optimal
That was
level.
fast. I think that was over in quite literally 3 seconds. The moment Hypnos goes down at the beginning of that engage, you lose your Baptiste. No sustain, no lamp coming out, and Brawl will not survive for long. So great preempt play there for Ragnarok Odin. They knew that that was going to happen. They immediately set up around the exit of the teleporter rather than trying to punish the choke, and the burst works excellently. Now you can kind of see the pivot coming in from Shockwave. They go towards double bubble, which needs time to ramp up, and they don't really have a lot of time. Look at all these ults on the side of the blue side. They're going to have a much easier time holding.
Yeah, Ragnarok Odin looks a lot better in terms of that ult charge. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Like, Shockwave barely got anything out in that first push. And they're going to have to spend a lot of time here, just like you were saying, really trying to build up their ultimate before they can do anything. And ooh, with a pick on the Nyx already from Anonymous, that's going to make it that much harder. But the res does.
Just more time off the clock here, which does mean Hypnos can build up that nano. I think that's really the key that they're waiting for, but OC wants to go first nicely, but it feels like it's too late.
Yeah, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage with their second chance, but they're forced to back out after that. The Genji does get out of the air, so winning out that Echo battle.
More time again. Yes, now Hypnos has that nano boost online. Gonna drop it onto Karma once Shockwave is 6 members strong here. But again, look at all the other ults on the side of Ragnarok. I mean, you can get that nano down, but how are you going to deal with the bomb on point and the primal on your back?
Do something!
Here comes that bomb. Into kind of the patio in front.
Not today, Jesse.
So much value once again. He's removed from the fight, and
Personality
Ragnarok
changing
on this
position.
first point of Hanamura.
this is really the problem when you think about the composition that Shockwave was running in the first point on that first attack. If your comp does not work initially and you have to pivot away from it, you give up all the ult charge you accrued. You're going to have to go through something completely different to have a good chance, and now it's been 2.5 minutes and Garrett just built his first Graviton Surge, so that's really the tool that Shockwave needs to open up the second stage.
And Garrett turns the corner right
Step right up.
right there. The res does come in onto Garrett, though, and with a minute left to go, they're gonna try and push this point.
The team back is going to be able to easily remove AMFM with the help of that Mercy Pocket. This copy as well, I mean, this first point does feel like it's over for the defending side. It's now just about how much time you can buy before it flips over. Arma does actually get taken pretty low because they come on. Nope.
No, they decide they don't touch point, and now 3.5 minutes for Shockwave to cast the second point.
Yeah, you gotta jump off quick. Unfortunately, you're gonna have those boosted respawns. Shout out to Blizzard for making that balance patch much appreciated. I think 2CP would be pretty terrible without it, nonetheless. It's gonna still be terrible for Odin. Look at all these ults coming in.
You already removed from the fight.
Winston.
More damage from the side of Shockwave, pushing back hard against the DPS of Ragnarok Odin. This point already 1-6.
My
Make that
ultimate is
2.
charging.
Is anybody once again from Ragnarok Odin going to touch it? They barely do. It's good. Not a but both DPS now out of the fight. Odin is going to pop the primal just to get the point. So they're going to have less time on for that. And the pick will come out for
Yeah, Shockwave came to play. They don't care that they lost that much time getting set up for that first objective. They take that advantage and they sprint to the finish with it. That Graviton Surge from Garrett really opened up that first point, catching out OC, catching everybody else from Ragnarok off guard as well. It does feel like Ragnarok Odin was not adequately prepared for what Shockwave was going to throw at them on that first point. They get basically completely caught off guard. And when you're, that caught off and you have 5 members still trying to defend first point when it's clearly gone and you have to stagger the last 3 at the last possible moment, naturally you're going to see a result like this.
Yeah, exactly. The snowball was real on Hanamura. It may be summer here, but it was definitely winter for Ragnarok Odin right then. And we have a DC for Ragnarok Odin at the moment. They're off tank right now, out of the match. So fortunately for them, though, they DC'd in the in-between times. So, it's not going to have an impact, at least on any fight coming up. Hopefully we get them back in here soon, though.
Yeah, to kind of focus on what we've seen so far out of this match, I would definitely say that Shockwave, when they're in their comfort zone, when the enemy team is not really throwing anything too crazy at them, they are much better prepared. Naturally, on that first fight, things went a little awry because everybody on Ragnarok was very ready for that TP. And it's pretty telegraphed, right? Enemy team is on Brawl Comp, you can see the Rhine, you can see the Symmetra. It's more than likely that they're going to go towards point, and they had the perfect counter on the side of Ragnarok Odin for it, but once Garrett gets that Graviton Surge online, it just feels like it's unlocking everybody else on Shockwave to do their jobs a lot more effectively. And if Ragnarok Odin wants to have a chance in the rest of this series, particularly in this map right now, they need to start finding better active counters to what Shockwave has and start to preempt some of their next moves. A lot of them are really telegraphed, and it does feel like it's possible, but it's just not happening right now.
Yeah, and they're going to have ample opportunity because they're going to be on attack, which means they can just go out and scout for a couple of seconds, figure out what Shockwave is running, and then figure out exactly how they do want to counter it. And that's really going to be, I think what they're going to have to do this first fight. They need to get that scouting in just to see what's coming out.
I think something else that we might want to note down now as we go towards the rest of the maps is Ragnarok Odin's ult control on defense. They had a couple of really solid fights at the beginning there that they accrued through that first fight win. They maintain the ult advantage and they start to use it to their benefits, but once it's sort of expired and the enemy team has ultimates, it seems like they kind of crumble under that pressure. And that was even happening on the control map type too. Shockwave had a really easy time once they got point control, once they could start freely using their ultimates first. So Ragnarok Odin needs to be a little bit more conservative with their ultimates, particularly on the defending side if they want to have a chance in this series.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. They really do. And tell you what, we're gonna throw it to a short break here because looks like we're waiting still for the off tank of Ragnarok Odin to get back into the lobby. So stick around. We will be right back.
Score 0-2. Switching sides.
Good news, everybody! We've got AMFM back in the match. We're going to be able to continue with this in a 6v6 setting. We were sweating a little bit in here. It was unclear if maybe they were going to have to go at this 5v6 for Ragnarok Odin, but they are back in the match, so we are good to go.
Thank you for that intro, Professor Farnsworth. Much appreciated. And both of these teams looking to sort of get the momentum back in their favor here, particularly Ragnarok Odin. That pause time, naturally, you're a little bit sweating it because you want to have that player back, but that was 10 minutes that they may have effectively used to build up a better strategy coming into this next attack here, and already you can see that they're playing something a little bit different. They've got this sort of Sombra dive now, and it's an okay look, in my opinion. Obviously, we think about slower compositions like the one that Shockwave was playing, that Winston Zarya that needed that Graviton Surge to unlock their push. It's going to be a similar story here with Anonymous's EMP, should he choose to continue to play it, but there's a lot of options on how you can play Sombra Dive here. You can send your flankers to the objective to sort of pull the enemy team in a lot of directions. You can play it front to back, look to burst out the tanks, try to hack them down and build your ults that way. Realistically, it's just about how Ragnarok Odin scouts the enemy team and then decides what they want to do in response. And right now with Shockwave, they've got a great all-rounded composition with that Orisa Diva that we saw previously play to great effect on Oasis. So they're looking to echo some of that success once again.
Yeah, that performance is really going to be problematic for Anonymous as well. They're going to have a hard time getting in and finding value, I think. And in fact, it looks like they are maybe going back to swap. Yep, over to Tracer. It's going to be a little easier to deal. Well, maybe a little easier to deal with, actually. Not so sure about that. Slimy Rose also going over to the Lucio.
Yeah, Ragnarok is going to need to find an individual singled-out member here, and Shockwave understands that they're playing a 6 tight on this high ground. When they split off of it, that Ragnarok can find the advantage, but right now, ooh, there you go, you got that Mercy, now's the time to go.
Yeah, that it is. They're going to push the go button hard. Already, huge pick for Ragnarok. They're going to capture the fast time. To get the trying to find the rest of those things. And yeah, there we go. The D-Mac coming down to the D-Mac.
To my position.
Ragnarok will get that capture percentage a lot faster than their counterpart. Shockwaves obviously took 2.5 full minutes to figure it out for themselves. Ragnarok took about 30 seconds, and as a direct result of that, they're going to have a massive ultimate advantage, particularly on the DPS. We have to watch our Anonymous with this Pulse Bomb. If he can catch out either Hypnos or Matthew in that backline, remove some of that sustain early on, even something like Nyx or Kestrel when they're close to their ultimates, that can open things up even more for Ragnarok Odin.
Yeah, that it could, and there's really not a whole lot that Shockwave has to answer it with. Hypnos has that immortality field, and that's gonna have to be it. Even pops the coalescence already. They're stunned out of it though. Arnana is picked off by Nyx. Kestrel is able to pop Molten Core as well onto this high ground.
Hammer time.
The Sword Hammer comes out, and they're just beating down the rest of Ragnarok Odin into submission.
MC Hammer would be proud. Shout out to Shockwave and Kestrel in particular for pulling it out there. Nick's going to swap over to Kree now. Interesting decision considering how Bob is a really useful tool once the enemy team reaches the objective. Nonetheless, you did a great job shutting out Anonymous there, Nyx. That was the key there. Getting the stun and eventually the kill onto Anonymous mid-pulse bomb prevents anybody in the backline from dying and allows you to deal with the coalescence from Dwayne a lot easier, but now there's just a lot more threats. Genji with this blade in particular. We need to watch him very closely.
That we do. It's going to be up to Hypnos to use that immortality field if they find their targets. Here comes the beat as well early. There's the blade. Matthew removed from the fight. The sight set on Hypnos next. She goes down low and is removed as well. OC finds Nyx. And with 4 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, Ragnarok Odin's going to be able to capture this in much faster time as long as the stalls aren't real for Shockwave.
It's just Garrett on the objective at this point, and Hypnos trying to support from the distance, but that D.Va is about to be a baby quite soon, and there's really no kill pressure coming up because Kestrel on this Reaper is going to struggle to find their way in. No, we got Anonymous coming back though, or rather Nyx coming in to take out the Genji, so one pick comes through and they're buying a lot of time. They really need to get some ultimates online and again, some more picks to flip it though.
That they do. Matthew has the rally now. They're going to swing into as many members of Ragnarok as they can.
There you go.
Death Blossom committed. Only finds OC though. But this might be enough for Shockwave to stymie the bleeding and stop this attack.
Garrett, the hero of the day there, managing to buy so much time that it allows Kestrel to build up that Death Blossom, and Hypnos deserves a shout out as well, managing to keep that D.Va pocketed long enough to get all of those members back and stay alive for when Matthew comes back in with the rally. And that amount of sustain is going to allow a Reaper to really push through any initial defense, or rather any initial attack that comes through. Nonetheless, both teams rearing to go. No ultimates online just yet, but both DPS on the side of Shockwave are going to go quite deep on this next engage.
That they are, and Nyx is going to be able to get this pulse bomb ready as well, so that is going to be, there it comes. It's unable to find anything. And so Shockwave out of tools now for the moment, at least as far as ults are concerned, until Hypnos is able to build up this amplification matrix. Immortality comes out. It's already used up. Kestrel now on the low ground, trying to get in as much damage onto this rivaling OC as they can. Removed from the fight eventually, but there's a pick onto both sides. Hypnos uses the amplification matrix once again for Shockwave to try and keep this under their control, and they're going to be able to do that.
Beginning to see some struggling signs here for Odin. When you lose your Moira that early, even with the beat from Slimy Rose not coming out in time, that sustain is going to be sorely missed on the subsequent engage, and you pop that Primal from OC, that is 1,500 health worth of ult charge that goes right back into the pockets of Shockwave, and you can already see it in the ult banks. They literally have 5 almost online for this next engage, and the Genji's blade in the past got barely any value, was very easily shut out once the fight went long enough, and the Genji has to come up big once again for his team here. AMFM is going to have the bomb as well once the fight reaches the objective, but it seems like Shockwave want to end this early with their ultimates.
Yeah, that's they do, especially with Kestrel using that Death Blossom already, but it looks like he was booped away, unable to find really any value, and now the Coalescence from D-Wing just gunning down as many members of Shockwave as they can. Here comes the self-destruct on the point. It's able to catch out OC. No main take for Ragnarok Odin. This push is going to be so much harder now for them unless they can find a pick quickly. And here comes, yeah, the Genji on the prowl forward, but they get stunned out of it. They're not going to find anything. Shockwave once again is going to hold.
Matthew displaying the skill necessary on Brigitte, getting that bash off on the blade, preventing any kills coming through on that very squishy Zenbrig backline if those cooldowns miss. So a great play
Yeah.
from Matthew. Gonna have that rally online as well to sustain any longer fights. And Kestrel, this Reaper pick has been the world of difference for Shockwave, particularly once the fight goes really long. It seems like this Reaper is just such a massive threat for the backline of Ragnarok that they have to swap their entire composition just to deal with it. All the DPS, all the supports are now different for Ragnarok, and the more time that they burn and lose, the closer that it gets to a free win or draw for Shockwaves. They have to get it on this push.
Yeah, that they do, and it's going to be so much harder, especially with a wrecking ball rolling in the midst of you now. Very quick swap over there from Karma. They're already almost to the minefield as well. Ragnarok Odin gonna have to come up with some magic here because they don't have any ults online either anymore.
12 seconds and counting. Nice mines from Karma to stall out the objective even longer. Again, all they have to do is buy enough time to secure the draw, but it seems like they can even get the win if they want to. They're going deep getting these picks. Nyx takes out OC. Hypno still has the Transcendence if they even need it, and eventually it seems like Ragnarok has to try to mount up some kind of push that wins.
Yeah, they've got to do something, but Hypnos has popped the Transcendence to try and keep their team alive.
Oh, no.
They've stuffed, oh my gosh, the Genji into that mini health pack room, and he wasn't able to get anything done. And with no members left except for OC on this wrecking ball, there's not going to be much of a hope for Ragnarok Odin, and that is going to be Shockwave going up 2-0 very quickly with a fantastic win on Hanamura.
Yeah, back-to-back Oasis, now Hanamura, they don't seem like they're breaking a sweat at this point. And Ragnarok Odin has to be, particularly because of the fact that they had to use all of their pause time to get that DC back in the lobby. AMFM does eventually reach the team again, but and even though they were eating basically every pulse bomb from Nyx, when it mattered, it just wasn't enough for Ragnarok Odin in the end. And we have to look at the compositional choices that they made. When you played the 6-man dive comp, particularly on second point of Hanamura, you need to be able to rotate to something or somebody that you can actually kill. And it seemed like every single fight Shockwave had the squishiest members far enough away that they were never under any duress until they had ultimates, and it was very easy to counter them, particularly the blade from the Genji. It never got any value off of the bashes from Matthew, and kind of a head scratcher when you look at a team that was so dominant previously, not dropping any maps. This is just them kind of flubbing it feels like.
Yeah, it really does. You know, this is interesting. This is not the Ragnarok that I was expecting to see tonight. And I hope that they can bring something back for their third map. We're going to be taking a 10-minute break. This is now halftime, so they're going to have some time to consider what their next move is going to be. And if they're hoping to stay into this, they'd better have a good one.
They're going to need it. Fortunately, you still have some time to work with. It's, again, a dire situation, but it's not the end. And I do expect Ragnarok Odin to mount some kind of comeback and use this pause time effectively. And hopefully that they can, because I want this to be a competitive series. And if this is how competitive this entire group is going to be, we're in for some more treats of games after this.
That is absolutely true, we are. And we're going to throw to a short break now, actually a little bit longer one, about 9.5 minutes or so, well, before you see us again. But stick around for the exciting conclusion to this matchup between Ragnarok Odin and Shockwave. Hello and welcome back, everybody. We are back for the exciting conclusion for this game between Ragnarok, Odin, and Shockwave. And Mintus, in the break, we had an announcement for map. We are headed to King's Row. Oh, and Mintus, you are muted. Well, while he gets that sorted, yeah, we are headed to King's Row next. Oh, there he is. He's back now.
Hi.
Oh no, the sound is gone again.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, now you're back.
Hello?
This is bizarre. All right,
Man,
we're good now. We're good.
On the fritz. Nonetheless, we're going to King's Row. I think that's been clearly stated so far. Shockwave
Yes.
Has been dominating in this series so far, 2-0. Has yet to really show any signs of faltering when they have to go the distance, and Ragnarok seems to kind of be struggling once they've reached some moment of adversity against Shockwave. And it'll be interesting to see what happens on King's Row, because if we see a brawl mirror, which is, likely to happen on a map like this, I think it really is a war of attrition. It's going to be which team can control that tempo the best and really start to push it towards the enemies. And so far, that has been Shockwave pretty consistently, regardless of the comp.
Yeah, it really has been. And, it seems to me as well that even if Shockwave runs up against some adversity, they figure it out. They figure out what Ragnarok Odin has, and they work around it. I think the Hanamura, first point Hanamura, was such a great example of that. It took them forever to cap that first point, but once they finally did, once they figured out what they needed to do, they did it, and they did it well.
They did it where it mattered, also. You get that first point capture, and then you can immediately snowball it into second, whereas you look at a team like Ragnarok that immediately gets first, but kind of falters on second, and the wheels really start spinning, and the cogs start breaking down in their minds because they can't figure out how to counter what Shockwave throws at them. So we have to watch how these two teams establish themselves early on. If Ragnarok can have an easy time with it on defense, buy enough time for themselves to set up a good defensive hold on second or third points, that might be where Shockwave falters. If you take them out of their comfort zone and start throwing something that they can't adapt to. And it's going to be really hard if you just can't win in a mirror, so we need to see how these two teams start off the map. And right now it looks like on the defending side, they're going towards a dive.
That is very interesting. Not something that we see a whole lot on King's Row at all. So I'm going to be excited to see how Ragnarok Odin decides to play this. I imagine that Shockwave definitely isn't expecting to be running out and facing a dive composition here. So that's going to be a bit of a shock for him.
Anonymous and the Genji in particular are going to be hiding around basically every corner and every turn. And Shockwave needs to do a pristine job of scouting out where these two flankers are coming from. Once they do that, though, Brawl is going to have a very easy time dealing with that dive, blocking out the nades from Dwayne and pushing away OC and AMFM, but it's the DPS that are going to be the X factor on this defense, so we need to watch those two very closely.
Yeah, that we do, and already are Anonymous in the backline of Shockwave, looking for a hack target, looking for someone to take off, and the dive already comes in. Here's the hack onto Garrett. Matthew removed from the fight already. The Ragnarok off to a great start on this defense. Garrett goes down very low. They are going to be demeched as well. Without that diva to really help out, in mitigating damage, Shockwave just going to be up a creek without a paddle.
Genji does go down late, though, so this will be a 5v6 for the defending side, and Shockwave recognizes that they're pushing in very quickly. They've got to deal with Dwayne on that high ground, that Honest providing uninterrupted healing up there. In the meantime, Shockwave has taken full point control, gotten the DMEC. They've got a little bit too far, but they're going to be able to have an easy time with it.
Yeah, that they are. As the staggers slowly come in, they're going to be able to hold on. But T-Scroll and Nyx both removed from the fight. No more DPS now. This is an opportunity for Ragnarok Odin to come back in. Can they turn this back around? The Genji with a pick onto Matthew as well. Shockwave falling apart now and forced back.
They got that kill on the Genji plus the DMIC onto AMFM, but you just went a little bit too far. Nyx got so greedy going for that backline in the back alley left side that you get picked off that deep. There is no way you can equalize. So back to the drawing board, and now Ragnarok has the EMP. They have the Nano. So many tools to engage on the next fight. It'll be impossible for Shockwave to deal with.
Yeah, it really is going to be. And here comes already OC, but they were removed from the fight. 6-man EMP onto Shockwave. Kestrel, the first pick from that meteor strike comes in. It gets down. Matthew very, very low, but not able to quite finish him off. Charge coming in out from Karma. They're able to catch out AM, FM, and almost remove them from the mech as well. And now with the point largely free, actually completely free of anybody from Ragnarok, this is going to be Shockwave almost completely capturing it. They just have to deal with this primaling Winston of OC. Oh my gosh, and it's the self-destruct that really gets things coming in. The remake as well onto Slimy is just huge, and that's going to be first point capped. I think we might have a little bit of sound problems as well. One more time for Mentos. Looks like he was trying to chuck back in there. No, he is out once again. But now there's 4 minutes on the clock for Shockwave to get it all the way through Streets phase before they need to, before they redo things. And now with no ultimates on the side of Ragnarok Odin, it's going to be really, really difficult. And hooray, Mentos is back. I'm happy to have the brains of this broadcast back in action.
This guy's mic is just unstoppable when it comes to, taking me out of the map. Nonetheless, it feels like Ragnarok need to find their way back in, and it's off of the hack from Garrett and the separation onto Hypnos, forced back into that Mega. It leaves Nyx out to dry, so Ragnarok with that pick need to capitalize quickly, or they can go slow. It's a 5v6. You don't have to go just yet.
Yeah, that's true. Hack comes in onto Kestrel. They go down a little bit low. Here comes the aggression now from OC. They're gonna try and get something going again here. Immortality field committed by Hypnos, but it's removed very quickly. The blizzard though is huge from Kestrel. That's the difference maker right there. Shockwave picks up this card again.
Fight after fight, it feels like Ragnarok Odin gets that early lead. They figure out a good way to open up the fight, but they just can never close it out. Something always surprises them, and it leaves members like OC and AMFM that love to go deep just completely out to dry. And it feels like Shockwave just has a better, long-lasting plan for these fights. 4 minutes and 10 seconds going into third point, and really the only thing they've struggled with up until this point is the EMP from Anonymous, but he's got it online again. He needs to find 6 members, and particularly Matthew, to shut out this sound barrier.
Yeah, they really do need to get that, because if that sound barrier hits, it's just going to be 0 value. Here's the EMP, and it doesn't get Matthew. Matthew's able to get the beat online, but Nyx is picked before anything can get there to help them out. So this is in favor of Ragnarok Odin at the moment. Can they finish things out though? They got the early pick, but are they going to get shut down again? Just like they have been before by Shockwave. Shockwave is able to just back out and come back into the fight. 6 men strong again.
Look at all the ults that Ragnarok had to use. 4 of them for basically nothing besides 1 pick. Nice one coming in there though. Great capitalization on that aggressive push. Shatter comes in and hits 5. Oh, it's not over just yet.
Yeah, just fantastic play from both sides right now, but it's Ragnarok coming up a little bit better at the moment on the back of, just a fantastic play there from their team.
And a brutal stagger onto Garrett as well. More time off the clock, so that's 1 minute gone in total on this third point push coming in from Shockwave. But now that they have that ult advantage, they just need to start dealing with the Genji 27 a little bit more early. I'm looking at Garrett and Matthew now that they've swapped back towards this full brawl comp, particularly to shove out those off angles and try to scout where this Doomfist is coming from so that they don't die to these initial pushes.
Yeah, exactly. That just keeps happening every single time. Here comes the amplification matrix from Hypnos. She uses it, and they're able to get a little bit of value. Oh, the Genji, though, able to get a nice punch onto Matthew. That's going to be brutal for Shockwave to try and recover from. But they're doing a good job because they do have the Blizzard, and the Genji is removed from the fight due to it. Now AMFM coming back in big for Ragnarok.
Oh, stun! No EMP coming in from Anonymous late into this fight as well. And now everybody from Shockwave can push in very deep.
Yeah, that they can. This card is inching ever closer to victory for Shockwave. But they're going to have to get through the Genji, and the Genji is putting up big numbers right now. They are eventually removed by Garrett, though. So Shockwave has an opportunity again, but here comes the EMP. It catches out, too. Both supports removed from the fight already, though, and with that anti-nade coming in as well, that's going to be all she wrote for Shockwave's push.
Ragnarok's comp is really well suited for third point here. It feels like you can deal with one particular aspect of their composition pretty easily, right? You can scout out the Sombra or the Doomfist, prevent the nades coming in for mana, but it's the conjunction and the combination of all of these different tools for Ragnarok that are really starting to punish Shockwave, and they don't even have the right tools to counter and respond. Now that they finally have tank ults, they might have an easier time, but it's really just been about Anonymous and the Genji running it into this backline repeatedly.
Yeah, it really has. And they're going to try and do it again off the back of this nano committed to OC. Here comes a Shatter, though. It's able to catch out our Anonymous. Self-destruct committed by Garrett. Doesn't get to find anybody. Karma charges into a wall. But other members of Ragnarok actually able to find tremendous value right now. And this is going to be another hold. There's just a minute left for Shockwave to try and get this point capped.
There's really only one way that Shockwave can recontest this, and it's with two static ultimates that control the space. We've seen them do this previously on Oasis to great effect, but this time they have a Doomfist to worry about that can approach from basically any side, and that punch will instantly kill either one of Nyx or Hypnos in the fight. And now that Garrett attack, they want to go deep.
Yeah, they do. The anti-nade is huge as well. Catches 3 members. Hypnos goes down very low, but they're able to stay alive just barely. The Genji forced to back out, not getting any value on that dive right there. And now Kestrel is up on the high ground, pressing out. Oh, they almost go down the pit right there from a boop, but it's Garrett who's able to find OC first. And now Genji going down very low. The amplification matrix committed once again by Hypno. She's trying to keep her team healed up in the back line, but there's the beat. She can focus a little bit more on aggression now, and that is exactly what Karma's doing as well. Swinging that rocket hammer back and forth. They've almost got the Shatter online. If they can lay down so many members of Ragnarok here,
there it is.
they can certainly start to clean them up, and there it is. It's a massive Shatter, and the kills just keep falling in favor of Shockwave. Last minute meteor strike comes in from the Genji. He's able to get 1 pick, but it's only gonna be 1, and with only 1 pick, Shockwave gonna be able to cap this point in overtime.
If you give them an inch, they will take a mile. Shockwave takes a full 4 minutes and 10 seconds to capture third point, but they do it in overtime when those defenders' respawns stop coming in for Ragnarok. And they started really effectively kiting from that initial dive coming in from the Doomfist. It does feel, though, like Shockwave's, they shouldn't have gotten away with that. I think that, Ragnarok had such a good push going in there, they just weren't able to go deep enough before everybody from Shockwave could kite it out. And again, they might have gone a little bit too early. Nyx and Hypnos with the High Noon and the Amp Matrix could come in after that initial push and really start to punish some of the overextended members, particularly OC on that Winston without the Primal Rage. So bit of over-aggression from the defending side there, but now on attack, they can start to utilize that to their advantage. And they need to get more than a minute to have a chance in the rest of this series. Otherwise, this map is going to, at best for them, be a draw.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We will be going to 4 maps regardless, just because of the the tournament structure here. But their backs are firmly against the wall now. Ragnarok Odins. They don't want to go down. They don't want to tarnish this perfect record, this perfect win-loss record that they have right now. But that looks like what's going to happen unless they pull something out here.
So far, they said, screw the meta, we're going to play what we want. Didn't work for them too well on the defending side, but on attack, they're going to have to do something miraculous against a flank like this. Kestrel gets EP underneath this left side, right outside of spawn, and this fight's about to begin.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they have no idea. Nobody has seen any of them. And here comes the aggression. D-Wing already getting caught out, getting swung on by Karma. Excellent timing in that engagement, but there's already 1 counter pick. Kestrel out of the fight. Nyx doing some work, though. They're able to stay up in the kill feed, but oh no, Nyx is removed as well. This is not looking good for Shockwave. The Panic Bastion comes out for just a moment from the Genji, but he quickly swaps back to the Doomfist as they know that they have the advantage right now with the spawns here. Hack comes in onto Karma, and Immortality Field used as well by Hypnos, but she's only able to keep her main take alive for so long as the Genji dropping down onto point now, looking for that last kill to turn this over handily to Ragnarok Odin.
Those 2 trade kills at the beginning of that very close spawn hold coming in from Shockwave is what opened it up, and really it closed the door as well on first. There's really no good chance for a Recontest to come through. Once your Symmetra goes down that early, you just don't have enough frontline damage. So Shockwave gonna have to give this up, and the bleeding is not done just yet. They're losing more members, and the previously defense, spawn advantage is now on the attacking side. They can lose a couple of members. They can let Anonymous go. They're going to have 6 strong a lot earlier than Shockwaves will.
Yeah, Ragnarok Odin was able to cap this point so fast. They produced a Shockwave that, yeah, the red team couldn't handle there. And now that the ults are really in favor of Ragnarok Odin, they're looking good to be able to push this. They're already through the arches, which is such a hard point. It's such a big choke. And here comes the EMP. It catches out 5 members. Keestrel's the only one who wasn't involved. But Karma removed from the fight. Garrett demeched as well. And this is just a stomp of a fight for Ragnarok Odin.
That is some meaty cleave. The Nanoed Winston capitalizing on the EMP coming through there. And such a deep stagger that they actually lose a Lucio in the process. Not the end of the world, though. That guy's pretty speedy. He's going to get back to the fight quickly enough that this doesn't really matter too much. And actually, it bought more ult charge for everybody else on the side of Ragnarok Odin. That's 600 more health. That just goes back into their pockets, and they can start to use that aggressively here, but they have to worry about the shatter from Karma.
Yeah, that they do. They're not going to pop it just yet. Nyx already uses the Deadeye to no effect. There's the shatter. It's able to catch both supports, but the kills for Ragnarok are there still. Osi with this primal finding Nyx, and now the Genji on the high ground looking to finish things off.
Yeah, both teams going for a blisteringly fast pace on first and second point, but it's Ragnarok Odin that are going to have the greater time bank going into third, and this is going to allow their DPS to set up in the proper positions just alongside their tanks. OC and AMFM are going to take this high ground very aggressively, and the Genji 27 can tag team as well. Anonymous getting forced out, but they've got that EMP online soon. They just need to stay on the front line and activate it. With a nano from Joying, we're going to see a mirror of what happened on second point.
Yeah, I think you were absolutely right. That nano is going to be just brutal when it comes in on OC. Here comes the EMP, but OC is removed from the fight. There's 5 members hacked. But can they capitalize on any of it? No, it doesn't look like they can. As Shockwave coming up with a big hold right here on the back of Hypnos and Kestrel.
Ragnarok Odin was just not coordinated there. They had all the tools necessary, but the execution was so far off. And now you can see them finally trying to do something new in this map, but they're going back towards Orisa Diva, or rather Orisa Sigma, the double shield composition in full, to try to punish this weak front line with a lot of spam damage, and then follow that up with the Genji 27 on this Genji, following up on his namesake as well. But the problem is, you don't have any ultimates, so Shockwave need to leverage that advantage quickly before the Brawl comp, or rather the double shield, takes their lead.
Yeah, that they do. They need to use these ults now, especially now that Matthew is down. Here comes Hypnos with the amplification matrix. They're going to be able to stave off a little bit of the aggression from Ragnarok Odin, but only momentarily. And now the picks start coming in for Shockwave. Since they've got this supercharger online, it's just going to deal so much damage into Ragnarok Odin that they can't handle, and they just back off.
And similarly to how Ragnarok Odin's defensive composition was best suited for third point, we're going to see a very similar situation for Shockwave here. This comp, it's pretty weak on first and second. It's weak to angles, but on third, when everybody's funneling through the same way, you have a much easier time with it. But no funneling now. They're going deep. They're going quickly, but here comes the bomb. Oh, Slimy Rose not in the lamp.
Yeah, Anonymous follows very shortly after that. Kestrel getting a lot of work done in the backline, and now taking out that Orisa. This is such a quick fight win for Shockwave.
And it's only off of one ultimate, too. The pole bomb combo there is just so deadly when nobody can really get in that lamp in time that it catches pretty much everybody from Ragnarok Odin off guard. So this recontest now is basically built off the back of just the Genji's blade. So we have to look at how the rest of Ragnarok Odin supports him in that endeavor to get these kills.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see whether or not they push this quickly or slowly, because Osi is coming up on the supercharger as well. The Genji playing it slow for the moment. Here comes the... Oh! It's able to find one kill. The Death Blossom is before he's stunned out of it. Anonymous removed from the fight. And now, this is all in favor of... Oh! Shockwave, that is until Genji comes out with the blade. He gets stunned out of it. He's unable to find any value. And back, he finds 2 at the last moment. AMF coming in big with a Gravitic Flux as well. 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, and now Ragnarok is very close to being able to cap this point. Are they going to be able to do it with time? It's looking very likely at the moment, but they're going to have to get through this rally from Slimy Rose.
Wang W goes down early in that engage, but Slimy Rose can make up that difference with the rally. Can anybody even touch here? Nyx is the one to do it, but they get stunned and killed immediately. The next one on is Kestrel on the Doomfist, but there's nobody else to support him until the lamp comes in from Hypnos. This is a tense fight, but it's going to favor the defense if it goes long because of boobs like that.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially because Matthew popped the rally as well. Now the Supercharger's online for Karma as well. They're getting the last-minute hold, the last-minute contest. It is real for Shockwave. That, frankly, is a shocker.
Wow. Everybody, committing to their name, so to speak. We got Genji on the Genji, Shockwave making the Shockwave. So, interesting swap coming in from Nyx. And I'm going to go back towards the McCree and also the Torb from Kestrel as well. This was pretty effective on the previous map, Hanamura, but you don't really have ults to sustain that kind of defensive hold anymore. And our Anonymous and Dwayne W have such static strength on this corner. They pop the High Noon first, layer it in with the window. Everybody has to hide, and one's already gone.
Yeah, Matthew is gone out of the fight. Already finding tremendous value. Ragnarok is. Here comes the self-destruct once again from Garrett. Are they going to be able to find anybody this time around? No, they're not. In fact, they were removed from the fight too, but AMFM picked as well. D-Wing out of the fight too. Our Anonymous goes down very low. Kestrel on this Torb, getting tremendous value right now. As this Hypnos with this amplification matrix too. Oh, fantastic headshots right there.
He's pretty with the shots on that left click. Baptiste, and when you have a Bap that's as deadly as that, but can provide the heals in those clutch moments, it makes a world of a difference. So props to Hypnos and Matthew as well. The defensive rally coming in on that recontest was so key, like you talked about, and now it's burnt so much time that there's really only one good push remaining, and it needs to happen now. And even if it does, we're going to see a scenario where both teams get a minute on the next pushes. So both teams want to make the difference right now. The deflect comes in from the Genji, but it just buys time and waits out Nyx's High Noon.
Yeah, but that might have been enough time for Matthew to get this rally online, which could be the difference maker if the Genji comes in with a blade. Here comes the Gravitic Flux, though. The Immortality Field is there to help keep everybody online. Kestrel layers in that Molten Core on the ground, but it's the Genji furiously hacking and dashing through the members of Shockwave. That is really going to be the difference maker. Karma, though, able to take out OC at the final moment. This isn't over yet for Shockwave, but it just about is, especially with D-Wing popping this amplification matrix. Now, all they have to do is clean off these last few staggers, but there is an Immortality Field on point as well. Slimy Rose pops the beat to try and push this the last few meters in.
Looks like it's going to finally happen as some staggered members come through on the side of Shockwave. It's just a Karma versus the world, it feels like, and Nyx is hiding around the corner, waiting for somebody to get weak, but nobody's getting low. Ragnarok is going to have an easy time pushing this through.
Yeah, that they are. The staggers are real, but they're not going to be real enough for Shockwave to make a difference. This is going to round three. We're going to see some overtime pushes here in Kings Row.
And what more could we ask for? We wanted a competitive series. It doesn't get more competitive than this, right? Both teams dead even on Kings Row here. And for how much teams scrim this map, this is the result that I kind of expected. Everybody seems to have some kind of strategy that's been pre-baked and predetermined going into a map like this, and both teams are having a decent time with it. It's really just, both of them are kind of struggling on that first and second defensive hold. When you give the enemy team so much time on third, eventually something is going to work, right? It's just kind of a law of large numbers there. So the difference has to come in these first and second points for the defending side. So we need to see if there's any kind of skews in the team compositions for both sides. As we see, it looks like we got more Somber Dive on defense. So this is back to what they were playing originally. Something close, something that looks for picks and tries to snowball with their ultimates once they get them online. But if Brawl on the other side can outlast that for Shockwave like they did on their attack, they can very easily push through. But looks like they're going towards something different here.
Oh, now this is interesting. This doesn't look like anything I've seen before. Okay, that makes a little more sense now. And, it's really going to be, if either team here gets a solid defensive hold, like if we see a solid defensive hold from Ragnarok Odin, this map could be theirs because, like you said, both teams really struggling on the defense first point. So, with a minute on the clock, that's one good fight, maybe two, if the first one goes quickly.
We know that the Genji can get picks with those punches, but it's about whether everybody else can survive in the meantime. So we need to see how the supporting pieces of Ragnarok Odin keep the rest of the team going.
Yeah, good point. They're going to be staging into high ground here, and with 40 seconds already off the clock, I really think Shockwave is only going to take one shot at this point. They're trying to push out the dive targets from this high ground, not letting them get set up. Hack comes in onto Garrett, though. That's going to be problematic for Shockwave. Anonymous forced to back out just a little bit from that high ground. Shockwave actually trying rotating around to the low ground now. They've decided to give up on that approach. That's an interesting choice.
Looks like they want to go around the statue here. They're trying to chunk out this Winston, but the nade comes in. Matthew so low. The lamp is there in time, but can he survive? No, he cannot. It seems like Ragnarok has the early lead, but they need to finish this out.
Yeah, that they do. They're able to chase out Kestrel on that Echo. Can they do more? Hypnos healing their team as much as they can on point right now. They're trying desperately to get something going here. But the Genji is in the way right now. And Garrett gets demech. Here comes the Deadeye, though, from Nyx. Can they find anybody? They're starting to get percentage on the board. Can they get one tick? If they get one tick, they have a win condition here. But Slimy Rose says no. Slimy Rose coming in with the beat. Anonymous picked out immediately after the EMP, which gets two. But the pick's coming in once again for Shockwave. The Genji, both DPS out of the fight now, but there's a counter pick onto Matthew. This fight is brutal on point. Slam coming in now from Karma to try and get something done. There's a AMFM has a self-destruct online now. But are they even gonna need to use it? No, they don't. Ragnarok holds on at the last moment.
They needed to do something differently on defense, and that was definitely different. They're just built different. On that first point now, they have a much easier time with it, recognizing that they're rotating, they're going for a different composition that wants to play a little bit more static. They just stuff that choke with the Winston, with the Doomfist, with the nades coming in from Dwayne. There's pretty much no way an Orisa can break through all of that burst, right? So they have to rotate away, but by that time, they've burnt so much off the clock that it gets so tense that you need to start mechanically performing, and it just seems like Ragnarok Odin beats them in that head space, right? They know that they can mechanically outperform the enemy team, get those picks, get out and stay alive, come back in on the recontest, and that's exactly what happens. The Genji 27 tag teaming with Dwayne W. Those two players in particular just made a world of a difference.
Yeah, they certainly did. That hold was fantastic from Ragnarok Odin. They have the win condition now. If they can just get one tick on this first point, they can stay alive in this series. We're going to be going to map 4 regardless, but I'm sure that Ragnarok Odin would rather go there with a chance to still win this matchup.
I know I would. I would love to be able to win the match instead of lose it, personally speaking. I think it's just, maybe I'm just different from other people, but regardless, it seems like Ragnarok Odin have kind of adapted on the attacking side. They're starting on double shield because that's what worked for them best on third point, but on the other side, Nyx and Kestrel are back on those comfort heroes, the Torb and the McCree that they used to great success on Hanamura. Can they come up big here again?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, especially with our Anonymous on this Widow now. They're looking for that one pick potential. If Ragnarok can just get one member off the board, they can really start to snowball this point. Ooh, but it's the Genji who's picked out first. So Shockwave has at least a win condition now to hold here. Ragnarok backing off. They want to go in as 6.
Ragnarok has the shield pressure advantage with this Sigma as compared to the D.Va, but they lose on the DPS front. The Genji 27 has no way into this backline. The Torb turret, the Brigitte makes it so difficult, but now Shockwave is back into a corner. This is Ragnarok Odin's time to go.
Yeah, it is, with only 10 seconds left on the board. Shockwave, Hypnos pops this amplification matrix, but there's a pick already for each side. But Shockwave coming up a little bit bigger. They don't touch. Ragnarok didn't touch. We got a draw, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to a 4th map with a 2-0 series.
We need to get the C9 counter ticked up by 1 there. It's been officially 0 days since we have last seen a C9, and again, they did lose a couple of members early, but that was a very winnable fight, right? Nonetheless, both teams kind of kicking themselves after the adaptations on the defending side kind of come through for both teams. It's Shockwave that are sitting pretty at the end of the day because a draw is really going to favor them, right? We're going to this confirmed 4th map here, and they already have a 2-0 lead. Ragnarok Odin would now have to complete a massive reverse sweep just to have a chance at staying alive, and at the end of the day, I think that already we've seen that Shockwave has those 2 maps, and since it's a draw, it's kind of already over, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Right, with oh yeah, that's true. Well, actually, hold on. What do you mean by that exactly, Mentos?
Since we are playing a guaranteed 4 maps at a minimum, and we already have 2-0 after 3. Ragnarok Odin can no longer come back and win this series, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's a good point.
There's only
this
one
is
more
just
map
going to a
left.
tie.
Exactly. Well, not a
Yeah,
tie
for them.
necessarily. It's Shockwave that will be able to, at the very least, win. And now it's about how hard they want to dominate, right? They can get one extra map score or -1 map score going into the future matches. Nonetheless, as we watch through some of these replays here,
Yeah.
the story so far has been defined by the tempo of both of these teams. And Shockwave, particularly on the previous 2 maps, had such an easier time when things were going slow, when they could draw the fights out. And finally, it felt like Ragnarok Odin tapped into some of that aggressive potential. They started ending those fights extremely quickly, and then also matching Shockwave when they went the distance. But at the end of the day, when you don't stand on the objective, it doesn't matter how you play.
Yeah, and speaking about that C9, you have to wonder about the mental now for Ragnarok Odin because, they had the potential there to come back in this series, to get a little bit closer to a win, to be able to win this series, right? Like you mentioned. But now they don't, and that's just going to weigh so heavily on their mental. They're going to have to do a lot to come back, I think, from something like that because Shockwave definitely has to be happy about where they are right now.
Absolutely. Again, winning is good, from what I remember back in my days of playing this game. Nonetheless, I think Ragnarok Odin does not want to give this up just yet, right? Map score is still very important, right? If you can fight for the win, you might as well try. They're already at +8 previous to this game, so any stemming of the bleeding is going to go a long way towards their standings overall. Again, even if they lose this next map, they will still technically be ahead of Shockwave, right? Because they're 2-1 and they have a better map differential. So still a lot to play for on both of these teams. So I would not expect Ragnarok Odin to just give up this last map, which I believe is going to be Havana.
Ooh, yes, we're gonna go to the streets of Havana, and you mentioned that that map differential. I wanted to take a moment to go back to that because the second place team right now, SS Cuttlefish, they've only got a +6 map differential right now. So at this point, I think if things go the way they are, then Ragnarok could be tied at the end of this with SS Cuttlefish. So they're definitely still looking for those wins.
Absolutely. SS Cuttlefish is another team that's in this group who, according to the Lore Master booth, has been quite the dominant force in past runs of Overwatch Tranquility, so not too surprising to see them towards the top of the leaderboards. Overall, though, this again is just kind of serving this narrative that Indigo Pool A is obscenely stacked with talent, right? Like both of these teams are still relatively even, right? It wasn't a wash one way or the other on that map of Kings Row.
No, it wasn't.
The first 2 were, a little bit more one-sided, but overall, I would definitely still say that both of these teams have defined strengths and weaknesses, and that is such a lovely thing to watch and see how these 2 teams interact. And as we go towards Havana, where it feels like shields are going to very much be prominent on both sides, I think this does kind of favor Shockwave. So great map choice from them, from my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Although I think if this would be the map choice of Ragnarok Odin.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, because
the last was
because of the draw. Yeah.
I always forget that.
Yeah, no worries. It happens to me too. But yeah, I think the double shield setup that Ragnarok Odin is already sporting is really good for this point. The Genji's still on the Genji. I've been surprised to see so much Genji play, frankly, because it just seems to be so easily counterable. But he's got some value with it. And
There's some
we see
good
double shield coming out for Shockwave.
There's some good, there's some bad. I have yet to really see any ugly from the Genji, fortunately. Looks like Shockwave are trying to make this as ugly as possible. Look at this Bastion TP scrap. They're going to the high ground. This could be brutal.
Yeah, it could. Kestrel already set up with that immortality field now. They have firmly taken the high ground, wrested it from Ragnarok's control. And now the Genji goes down very low, but they are able to get healed. Kestrel still hasn't found a pick yet. Ragnarok has done a fantastic job of kiting away all this damage.
But it's left OC out to dry, and that lamp is going to eventually expire. He has to reload, but once those shields go down, that is a very dead Orisa. Gets the trade kill onto the enemy Orisa, but advantage is going to be in favor of Shockwave.
Yeah, that it is. They're going to get this cart moving, especially now that they got the res coming in onto Karma, and the rest of Ragnarok is just falling by the wayside at this point. There's nothing they can do. I don't know if they're even going to be able to contest this first point.
They really shouldn't, right? Kestrel's still set up on that high ground. That is a deadly bastion in the rafters. And when the Genji 27 does not manage to get any initial picks off that first TP play coming in from Nyx, it's pretty much impossible. There's nobody else that can really displace that bastion from the high ground. And it feels like Shockwave recognized that. They're setting up this bastion in very aggressive positions. He's going in deep again.
Yeah, I can't believe this is the most aggro bastioning I've ever seen. Now they're popping their Oh, but they aren't able to get any value with their ultimate. That tank configuration goes down very quickly to Ragnarok Odin. They have a much better hold on this defense so far.
Hypnos dropped that Amp Matrix expecting pretty much everybody to stay up there and utilize it, but Clutch Pull comes in from Mosi to take them off of that high ground, so a bit of a panic play coming in from Keystro, has to drop that tank configuration, and it gets pretty much nothing, so Ragnarok are going to reclaim some control of the space, and that is going to allow Genji 27 to play very aggressively.
Yeah, that it is, and Genji 27 is so close to that blade. Here comes another TP, and it's gets a little bit of value this time, but Anonymous able to turn things in favor of Ragnarok. And Shockwave, once again, unable to get anything going on the second point.
I mean, how can you, right? Retakes with the Bastion, a lot harder than holds. Repositioning that turret around is, only a one-time thing. You get that TP down, you send in the Bastion, and if it works, it works. But if it doesn't, it really doesn't. And now, the Genji 27 previously had no blade. But this time, he's going to have all of the fun in the world when he can slash through 6 members stacked up like this.
Oh yeah, and especially if they layer in the supercharger as well. So much damage. Nyx uses the barrier projector early on. Here comes the Genji. Here's the blade. He's gonna start slicing through. Nyx is already found. But Garrett with the huge picks from Shockwave, able to get the Gravitic Flux online and just destroy the rest of Ragnarok Odin.
Yeah, Garrett was like, nice little buddy, watch this. Kills 3 members. The fight's already instantly over. It doesn't matter how many you get with the blade. And now Shockwave has control again. Look at this Bastion. He's set up in the corner this time. No TP necessary. And AMFM is walking right into it. Oh my gosh.
And he's damage boosted too. I didn't see the Mercy back there originally. There's a Mercy hiding in that corner too. What a play from Shockwave right here. Keystro gets stunned, but they've got the tank again. Oh no, they don't. They're just using that normal mode, but Anonymous comes in huge with the Bob and the Dynamite and gets that ridiculous Bastion out of that corner.
Thank gosh. If that worked, I would have been a little peeved, so to speak.
I'm sure Ragnarok would have been too. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Ragnarok does retain control now, and I think it would have been favorable for them regardless of the outcome. This Bastion does eventually have to disappear at some point, particularly on third point. I feels like it's a lot harder to make work. But on second, the retakes have been defined by how AMFM controls it with these fluxes, and they are so big.
Yeah, the fluxes from AMFM have been huge. The res does come in, though, onto Keystro, so they're going to be back up to 6. Demon uses the amplification matrix, and that's going to deal in a lot of damage. Karma goes down quickly, and despite the res coming in and the heroics from Shockwave, this is once again going firmly the way of Ragnarok, but the tank configuration has been popped by Keystro. They're pushing their way out. They've already gotten a pick onto the Genji. Can they get more? Not before that comes off. And is that another Gravitic Flux? Oh no, this one was from Garrett this time. Unable to find quite the same value, but Keystro's there for the cleanup.
Absolutely. Managing to be the janitor in that scenario. And again, okay, so if Keystro goes back in the corner here, they might struggle, right? Okay, so he's going underneath this balcony, which is slightly better, but still playing in this corner. Man, you gotta hope that Ragnarok can touch and contest, because again, okay, this time they're just not even gonna bother. They're like, we know this Bastion setup. Yeah, it's a wash. Let's just relinquish it. 2 minutes and 49 seconds now for Shockwave to try to get set up once again. It's been reliant on ultimates to really make the difference in these fights, and once they don't have them, you're gonna see picks like that pretty often.
Yeah, that you are. The Genji has this blade burning a hole in their pocket as well, but do they even need it? They're gonna pop it because the res does come in. Here comes in another Gravitic Flux as well from AMFM, but it's the blade that's gonna get the lion's share of the value, and oh my gosh, the Genji gets out with 8 health.
Lots of kills though. Manages to trade back immediately, and they'll be able to sort of force Bastion into a different position here on third, and without the teleporter on the Symmetra, Nick swaps over to the Hanzo now. Bastion has to play this front to back, and it's going to be a very slow war of attrition that's defined by the pulls from Karma. Karma has to get some meaty halts to get people in the sidelines of Bastion.
Yeah, they certainly do. OC, though, very much in the sidelines right now. They're caught behind this barrel. They're eventually taken out, and now that Keystro's set up once again, they're just gunning down everybody in their path with the help from Garrett.
I mean, you don't even need pulls when they play that split. You gotta hide behind the pillars here, guys. Come on. Ragnarok Odin just failed to recognize how the Bastion pirate ship works. It feels like it's been a while since we've seen it played like this. add that skin for Bastion, but it seemed to not be on the forefront of their minds of Ragnarok Odin. And the flux comes in from Garrett. This has been so huge previously.
Yeah, it certainly has been. He's not going to find immediate value, but Kestrel is going to be able to get some. There's on the flank.
Wow.
Look at the flank from Kestrel. Just deleting everybody from Ragnarok Odin. The rest does come in onto Osi, but it's not really going to matter in the long run, I don't think, because Kestrel now popping this tank configuration once again, layering in as much damage as they can. Slimy Rose eventually taken out, and that's going to be the end of it for Osi as well. Now the staggers start to come in for Ragnarok Odin, but AMFM down dangerously low, perilously low, as the immortality field keeps them up momentarily, but only momentarily. Another huge flux from AMFM. And this is actually going to be Ragnarok turning this around and holding.
Yeah, we've been focusing a lot on the DPS so far, but both of these Sigmas are making us eat our words. Garrett and AMFM, those gravitic fluxes have been the keys to unlocking the aggression that lets the rest of the team do something. Even if they don't get immediate value, it's Kestrel that follows up on Garrett, or the Genji that dashes through everybody that's low when it's AMFM. So we have to watch both of these Sigmas because right now it's Garrett that's far in the lead after that late flex.
Yeah, that's certainly true, but can either of them really get it online for this final fight? If Ragnarok Odin can close this out quickly, that's going to be best for them. Nyx almost has this Dragon Strike online. It's ready to go now. Oh, and they get the headshots from the Storm Arrows on Osi, but here comes the Genji trying to even things out for Ragnarok Odin, but they have to get through that immortality field, and they're just not able to. And now, overtime clicking over. The card is so close to winning for Shockwave. They're going to be able to push it in as long as they can take care of these last few picks, and Kestrel has everybody in his sights right now on this Bastion. There's only so much that Osi can do. There's only so much that AMFM can do, and that is going to do it. Shockwave caps an OT.
You know, it does feel like some of those Bastion routes were a little cheeky because they recognized, hey guys, we got the dub already. Let's show some flair now. Nonetheless, that flair does end up in a full 3-point capture. So it doesn't seem like it matters what Shockwave ends up doing at the end of the day. They're just going to dominate regardless. Kestrel gets all of the support from his team, and it feels like every time that Ragnarok Odin sees that lonely Bastion, they extend way too far to actually get any repeated follow-up once the fight goes long. And yes, you might be able to get those lamps out from Hypnos. And Kestrel might end up going down, but that leaves you open to players like Garrett, like we talked about. Those gravitic fluxes come through. And again, it's just this piling on of threats throughout the duration of the fight that it feels like Ragnarok Odin just doesn't have an answer for yet.
No, they certainly don't. And speaking of not having an answer for things, Bastion coming out again on the defense. Not surprised to see it, given that we saw it the entire way through attack, which honestly, I don't remember the last time I saw a Bastion play the entire way through a map.
Me neither, because why would you do that? Regardless, Kestrel says, you know, preconceived notions be damned. I'm just going to do what I want and dominate you. And it's working, right? They haven't really been stopped yet. And now, with this nasty spawn hold coming in with Nyx on this Pharah, Karma going towards Reinhardt, looking for some cheeky pins around the corner. So much burst on the side of this defense that I'm fearing for the lives of all the squishies on the side of Ragnarok Odin.
Oh yeah, same here. And oh, I love this ceiling strat that we see Nyx using right now. This was used in the Overwatch League earlier in the year, and I loved it. They're just going to be able to use it for cover constantly, and oh my gosh, both DPS down for Ragnarok, a third kill for Nyx. This is just tremendous work from the Pharah.
Nyx was like, yeah, you know, you guys can talk about everybody else, but I could do stuff too, guys. Look at this. Gets 3 kills immediately and more flanking Bastion. This one, very stupid. Why would you do that, right? The spawn hold is going to eventually fizzle out here. Nyx decides to kill himself in response to that teammate's decision. So, you know, the attacking side of Ragnarok Odin will eventually break through. It's really just about how much time that they lose in this process.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Shockwave has already done what they needed to do here. They burned a minute off the clock. That is a ton of time before the card even gets a chance to move. So they have to be happy with that spawn hold so far.
And a player that I'm going to be looking at in this next team fight is Karma. Somebody that has been pretty quiet so far, obviously being relegated to Orisa duty with a Bastion. You're not going to be the focal points, but he's got the Shatter online. And there's only one shield on the side of Osi for Ragnarok Odin. So once that Orisa barrier goes down, I want to see some slamming from the high ropes.
Yeah, so do I. But Dynamite layered in from our Anonymous. That's going to slow the roll of Shockwave momentarily. The Genji taking an off angle now. layering in some damage into that Reinhardt shield.
Oh,
Here
hot
comes the Bob, though. Bob is able to remove Nyx from the fight, or Anonymous is, rather. Kestrel able to get one pick, but this is just too much coming in from Ragnarok Odin as they demolish what's left of Shockwave.
And Karma Shadow gets absolutely nothing after I gas him up. Sorry for the cast difference, buddy. It happens to the best of us and the worst of us, like myself. But it seems like Ragnarok Odin will be able to capture off of those off angles coming in from those hit scan threats. The Genji 27 and Anonymous tag teaming on the left and right flanks, respectively. But the Bob coming through and popping up Nyx and getting him out of the fight is the key there. Nonetheless, it's just pick city for both of these teams. Kestrel opens it up. Now Nyx falls. Matthew does have the res available, but that is a very deep Genji, so I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's such a great idea. Matthew
We got it.
is able to get it. That's incredible. But there's just so much damage now coming in from Shockwave. They're able to mitigate this push completely from Ragnarok Odin.
I mean, this kind of playstyle from Shockwave it's nonsensical. It defies proper explanation. I could write a 400-page dissertation on why this is working, but at the end of the day, we just kind of have to appreciate and enjoy the nonsense. Here comes Kestrel with this tank configuration. He's looking for some big bursts, but Transcendence from Slimy Rose is going to negate that pretty easily.
Yeah, but here comes the Gravitic Flux. Can it find value? No, it doesn't. Garrett's removed from the fight instead. So 0 value for that, and now Karma's just left out to try.
Ragnarok pushing forward on these last staggered members. Karma pops the Fortify to get away a little bit more easily, and Hypnos will survive in kind. So not the end of the world for Shockwave. They will be able to recontest with some of these ultimates. I'm looking at this Valk-pocketed Blade in particular, throwing that Ant Matrix as well, and really nobody can survive in front. It's really about those angles coming through. Again, we have to watch the DPS, and if they can get into those sides.
Ooh, and here they go. The DPS has found their targets. Both supports removed from Ragnarok Odin. Shockwave gonna be able to hold this point as long as they can finish the rest of these picks.
All of these maps have kind of been on a teeter-totter outside of, I'd definitely say, Hanamura.
Yeah.
That one is a little bit more one-sided, but so far it feels like both of these teams just repeatedly go back and forth, trading fight wins one after another.
Oof.
And when you are already in the driver's seat, you know you have that full capture, you're okay with trading. You could be the merchant all day long. You could just trade everything away. And that's going to be fine because you know you have that advantage going into third point, and that mental advantage is exactly what Shockwave wants to use. Look at this flank from Kestrel again.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What is this Bastion doing? Self-destruct isn't able to find anything, and now the damage is going to start to come in, but it is quickly mitigated. The res tries to come in. They're actually able to get it, but Matthew pays for it with his life. Antinate as well onto Hypno. She goes down very low, but is able to stay alive, actually. In fact, they're able to pop that amplification matrix, too, to give Shockwave a second life. And now, that halt was brutal from Karma. But Kestrel removed once again. Ragnarok not out of this fight yet.
I don't think either of these teams are. They just don't want to give this up, but at the end of the day, this is just going to naturally favor Shockwave because more time is getting burned. Nice hyperspheres from Garrett. Just got to barely finish that kill off with the help from Hypnos, and another late staggered kill means the end of this fight, and Shockwave with full map control with a lot of ultimates in their back pocket. It's looking like a wash on the second point.
Yeah, it certainly is. Just a minute, 20 seconds left for them to try and get it through second, and if they don't do that, this is over for them. And Nyx definitely has something to say about it. They're able to take the Genji out, but Slimy Rose eventually able to find a pick onto them. The res tries to come through. Oh my gosh, they're still alive. How are they still alive in there? I don't understand. Not only are they alive, they got a kill. They got a kill on a Slimy Rose too. Matthew, what are you eating? What has made you so dominant on this Mercy all of a sudden?
I don't think it's Wheaties. It could be some kind of, performance-enhancing substance. We'll get them checked after this match. Nonetheless, 45 seconds left for Ragnarok. They've got plenty of tools in their back pockets as well. It has to go the distance, though. They need to use this nano to stall, to buy some time for space buying ults, like the Bob, like the Bomb. If things go as quickly as they've been off of the back of Garrett's Flux and Kestrel's flanks, it could be over quickly.
Oh, no. Yeah, Kestrel's back at it with his old tricks. The tank configuration, trying to do so much damage, but the defense matrix is there, but only for a split second. Here comes the Gravitic Flux now from Garrett. It's been so valuable in the past. 19 seconds left on the clock, and Ragnarok is falling down. Oh, but here comes the Nano onto the Genji. Can the Genji get any value with it, though? They're unable to really find any purchase. And in fact, it's Anonymous who gets picked. AMF and falls shortly after that. 5 seconds left. Ragnarok has to do something now, but there's so few people left to try and do anything. I'm just not sure it's going to happen, and that does it. Shockwave takes a 3-0 victory over Ragnarok Odin.
In dominant fashion. We gotta say it. That was a clap. That was a clap on that last map. And the demoralizing bastion weighing on the minds of everybody on Ragnarok Odin, it feels like. There were some pause troubles on Hanamura, but it doesn't seem like that really affected their mental too much. It just feels like Ragnarok Odin struggles when they have to adapt to something that they just don't know how to deal with. That was the case on Hanamura. They didn't have any idea how to break through a lot of those initial pushes from Shockwave on the second point, and now it's the Bastion. It's just kind of a repeat of history here. And you know, the nail in the coffin really was King's Row when they failed to get that capture, and the draw ended up occurring, so they couldn't win the series anymore. But regardless, Ragnarok Odin came into this as the heavy favorites, just given, you know, precedent off of the map score. Sure, maybe the teams they were facing were maybe lower in caliber compared to Shockwave, but regardless, every single expectation was blown out of the water by Shockwave here.
Yeah, it certainly was. They came in so powerful, and you know, I don't know if it was because of the L that they took to SS Cuttlefish or not, but they came out so strong on this in this match that I think they're going to be a force to watch later on in this tournament.
Absolutely. I have to just mention that I love the way that they take a lot of those fights and really push those advantages and really start playing with their food. You might look at some of those decisions like the corner bastion, obviously, even the spawn bastion as well. Those don't need to work, right? You have already demoralized the enemy team so much after winning the series that you can basically do whatever you want, and that kind of free, loose, fun-loving playstyle is what makes me love to watch competitive Overwatch at the end of the day. Those kinds of teams are the ones that typically go on to be the best when they refine that style, so we really have to watch how Shockwave progresses throughout the course of this season, and I'm very excited to see where they go from here.
Yeah, so am I, and since the game is over now, we have reached all 4 maps. There's only one thing left for you and I to do, and that is to name a player of the match. So, Mintus, who's burned themselves into your memory after tonight?
I mean, I will never forget about the flanks from Kestrel as long as I live, and you know, we can credit him because his name pops up in the kill feed a lot, but I want to shine some attention on somebody that might go a little bit underappreciated, which is Hypnos. The Baptiste in a lot of these compositions for Shockwave was a consistent force that was rarely ever getting picked off initially and never really found any pressure on themselves, and that allowed Hypnos to kind of open things up for the rest of the team, drop those lamps as needed, and that was the glue that kept this band of brothers and sisters for Shockwave together. It was just everybody playing, firing on all cylinders, having a good time with it, and Hypnos is that consistent force that you can always rely on at the end of the day.
Yeah, she did just an absolutely fantastic job, not only keeping her team alive, but dealing a tremendous amount of damage too on that Baptiste. I remember several instances where she popped that amplification matrix and just got tremendous value out of it. Just by herself, really, even. You know, the team was there as well, but she knew how to use it, and she used it well.
And, you know, to talk a little bit about the other side before we dip out of here quickly, Ragnarok Odin, you lost here today. It was a 3-0. You didn't really find any purchase in most of those maps. And the best thing that you can look at for match results like this is there's more lessons to take away from, particularly in those first 2 maps. I think Oasis and Hanamura really could have gone either way at the end of the day, and Ragnarok Odin, with a bit more time to refine some of their strengths and learn how to adapt throughout the course of a series, is really going to help them in the long run. So again, both of these teams are at 2-1. It's not the end of the season just yet, and I want to see where they go from here.
Oh yeah, it's not even close to the end of the season. We've got so much more Overwatch that's going to happen. And like you said, I'm excited to see what comes out from both of these teams. This group in particular just looking tremendous. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a champion coming from this group overall. And speaking of other things coming up, though, we have another match coming tomorrow night, the Discord tier. We've got Chicago Chaos going up against Excalibur, so be sure to tune into that. Match starts at 8:30 Eastern Time. And we would be remiss if we did not mention the other amazing content that Overwatch Tranquility has for you this season. We have on Monday the Iris podcast, followed immediately by Predicting Tranquility. Tuesday nights, a little show known as the Coach's Corner, hosted by an amazing and phenomenal looking man with just the best beard in the world, frankly, known as Juggle God. That's Tuesday night, so be sure to check that out. It happens right after the Harmony tier match. And of course, tomorrow night, tonight we have the beat drop coming we have tomorrow night. I can't keep my days straight. Tomorrow night, the beat drop happens right after the Discord tier match. So be sure to tune into that. Once again, my name is Warren Juggle God Hammond. It has been my absolute pleasure to cast for you tonight. Been joined in the booth by none other than Mintus. And big thanks to Booth in the production booth as well. You are always fantastic. Thank you so much for the work you do. That's going to do it for us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Much more great Overwatch coming your way soon. GG's and see you next time.
GG's, everybody.